Skill practice is a core component from the skill training portion and takes place immediately after skill theory. This component is broken down into two parts, passage coverage and answer justification, and this video will focus on passage coverage. During this component, students apply the skill in the exercises, which helps in confirming their understanding of the skill. To prepare for this component, you will need the workbook, script, MP3 file, and the answer key or class guide. To teach or simulate this component, you will need the workbook and the MP3 file. This component will be simulated during training.
Okay, let's go ahead and get started with the skill practice. The first thing I want you guys to do is just listen and take notes. Okay, here we go.
Just how important is sleep? What happens when we don't get enough sleep?
Okay, good job listening and taking notes. Now I'm going to give you guys 1 minute to answer the questions. Okay, go. Okay, good job answering the questions. What we're going to do now is listen again and put a set of model notes on the board. Okay, here we go.
Just how important is sleep? What happens when we don't get enough sleep?
Okay, what was the first verbal cue you heard, Sharon?
Question.
Good, now what was that question?
How important is sleep? And what happens when we don't get enough sleep?
Good. So when we hear a question, what usually comes next, Megan?
An answer.
Very good. Let's go ahead and listen for that answer.
Sleep researchers have found that sleep deprivation can have a significant impact on our physical health.
And Megan, what was the answer?
Sleep deprivation can have a significant impact on our health.
Very good. And from what we listened so far, what do you think is the topic, Sharon?
Sleep deprivation.
Good. And why did you say that this is a topic?
Because the word sleep is repeated throughout.
Excellent job. So now that we have our topic, what is our main idea, Megan?
It can have a significant impact on our health.
Good. And why is this the main idea?
It'll help us predict what the passage will be about.
Good. And did you see any key words to help you confirm this?
Significant impact.
Very good. So now that we have our topic and our main idea, what will our major details be about, Sharon?
It'll be about the impacts.
Okay, excellent job. Let's go ahead and listen for those major details.
A lab study in
What was that verbal cue you heard, Sharon?
A lab study.
Very good. And what type of verbal cue is that?
It's an example.
Okay, so what are we going to hear next?
An example that shows the impact of sleep deprivation.
Very good.
involving rats helps illustrate how sleep is as necessary as food and water.
Okay, and what was the first major detail, Megan?
A study with rats showed that sleep is as necessary as food and water.
Very good. And why is this the first major detail?
Because it shows one impact.
Excellent job. Let's go ahead and continue listening.
In the study, rats were kept awake indefinitely. After 5 days, they started dying. Another provocative study
Okay, Megan, what was that verbal cue you heard?
Another provocative study.
Very good. And what kind of verbal cue is that?
Example.
Okay, so what are we going to hear next?
Another example that shows the impact of sleep deprivation.
Very good. Let's go ahead and listen for that.
conducted by scientist Scott McRobert at St. Joseph's University in Philadelphia, looked at the effects of sleep deprivation on the mating rituals of fruit flies. His research shows that sleep-deprived male fruit flies exhibit almost none of the same courtship behaviors found in their well-rested counterparts. His findings show that sleep is crucial for reproduction in fruit flies.
Okay, what was the second major detail, Sharon?
Sleep is crucial for reproduction in fruit flies.
Very good. And why is this the second major detail?
Because it shows another impact.
Okay, good. Let's go ahead and continue listening.
Other research
Okay, what was that verbal cue, Sharon?
Other research.
Very good. And what type of verbal cue is this?
An example.
Okay, good. So what are we going to hear next?
Another example that shows the impact of sleep deprivation.
Good. Let's go ahead and listen for that.
conducted by E. Van Carter, an endocrinologist at the University of Chicago School of Medicine, found that sleep-deprived participants displayed pre-diabetic and obesity warning signals. These findings suggest that sleep deprivation increases your risk of acquiring type 2 diabetes, heart disease, and obesity.
Okay, and what was the third major detail, Megan?
That sleep deprivation increases a risk of diabetes, heart disease, and obesity.
Very good. And why is this the third major detail?
Because it shows another impact.
Okay, good.